Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Not going to do the intro thing, just waste your time. Sunday chat today is similar but a bit different. First of all, we do the thank you stuff because it's Sunday, so thanks to all my subscribers. Quite honestly, more importantly, thanks to the people who watch the videos and leave the comments. That's the bit I enjoy. And thanks to the Patreons for hanging in there. That's nice and steady. I'm happy with that. Some new ones would be nice, but I appreciate at the moment, because I'm in the same boat. Times are hard, with all what's going on at the moment, with the fuel doing that and your electricity and gas doing that. Everything's doing that except for what comes in your pocket, and that tends to just do that or do that. So times are hard, so be it. Yeah. And on those lines, so thank yous. Somebody bought a mug. That was out of the blue. I get a little notification from the company if somebody buys some of the merchandise. I haven't had any for some time. But that's always there, Get yourself a Roger's Orchid mug. Anyway, that's that. Right, Mum's estate. It's done. So we won't need to talk about that ever again. Simple as that. The final payments were made. My sister came round, wrote the cheques out, and my other sister, she had bank transfers. So all the payments to the people have all been made. Grandchildren have all had what they're having, and it's all done and dusted. So what's left in my account is mine. And you'll like this. Being one of these people who likes to know what's going on, I've added up everything that I need to spend during the month. I might have underestimated that, I might have overestimated that, because it changes month by month. But there are regular monthly outgoings, and I've included food and the food for the cats and everything in there. And then there's the income, my pensions and the YouTube stuff and the Patreon stuff. And then there's the difference between the two, and this was the idea. The inheritance money, I will dip into that each month to cater for the difference, because I can't afford this place. If I had to rent a place on my genuine income, we'd be looking at a 1-bedroom flat. Yeah, so there wouldn't really be anywhere for the orchids, so the orchid channel would go right down to a few windowsill plants or something like that. We wouldn't have, a grow room as such. So that's how I'm going to use up my inheritance money. But of course, we like to know how long it's going to last, and we need to know how long we're going to last and see if the two are somewhere near the same. Well, if I carry on spending the sort of things I do now, then dipping into that money, providing everything stays relatively constant, I've got 15 years worth. And this is the interesting bit. If I come down 50 quid a month on my expenditure, it's going to last nearer 20 years. And if I could come down to £100 on my expenditure, it would last like 24, 25 years. But I don't think I will, that's the problem. I'm relatively mobile. My knees are stiff first thing in the morning coming down the stairs, but after I've walked up and down the kitchen a couple of times, that's gone and I forget about it. I don't climb up big hills so well as I used to. We sort of slow down a bit towards the top and all that sort of stuff. But I haven't got any known health issues. The only one I'm assuming I've probably got is I probably haven't got the most healthy liver, because I drink a fair bit of wine. But I don't drink spirits, I don't go out drinking gallons of beer at a time. I have my wine with my meals and perhaps a bit more in the evening. So that's that. So that's probably the only health issue I've got. And that's self-inflicted. the other ailments that some people get, I don't seem to have at the moment. So we're okay. So hoping to last a while. That could change. My mobility gets a bit iffy, and I can't be dealing with stairs and gardens and things. Then this place will have to be changed for something more suitable to the way I am. And likewise the orchids would possibly have to change as well. Although pottering about looking after these is not a big deal. They're all on one level. I haven't got to climb steps. There's no hills to get to them or anything. So, you know, it's relative. And I tend to do things at speed out here. And I stop and think sometimes when I've finished, and I go and sit down and think, right, that's that done, tick that off. And I sort of think, now what am I going to do? Why did I hurry? If I took my time, you know, then there'd be less time with not so much to do. Anyway, that's that. Not orchids, but bonsai stuff. I'm hoping, I don't see any reason why I can't, to go to the Salisbury Bonsai Society tomorrow evening. Poke my nose in the door, see what it's like, see what goes on. There are only two that I can get to sensibly without doing silly travelling, and obviously every time you start talking about travelling now, you're starting to think about the cost of the fuel to get there and back and stuff. It's a thing you have to think about. But Salisbury's, to get from here to there, is going to take about 35 minutes, something like that. It's not a big deal. And it's in the evening, so I'm not having to deal with traffic and all that sort of stuff. Probably have the road to myself coming home Monday evening. You know, who's out and about Monday evening? So there's that. So I'm going to try that. And while I've mentioned the bonsai stuff, thanks to all the people from the Orchid channel that have gone across to the bonsai channel and subscribed to get those numbers up. Thank you very much, especially if you've done that and you have no interest in bonsai. That's a real big thank you, because you didn't, you know, nobody had to do that. But we're around, cat hair, 600 subscribers at the moment on the bonsai channel, which is in about 6 weeks. So that's pretty good going. And nearly all of that came over from here. So that's good stuff. And that's well above half of what I need. And on the watch hours, the thing that's a little bit more difficult, I'm up to about 1,600 and I need 4,000. So again, well on the way. So it's good. And I've left some comments on other bonsai channels. I've had a look round to see what's going on, you know, on the bonsai channels, find them first and see how often people post, what sort of setup they've got. You know, are they a nursery, huge, or is it just somebody with a few trees in the back garden like me? And there's a few around like that. Leave a couple of comments. And the way YouTube works, they probably get told they've got a new subscriber, so they go and have a look. And hopefully by leaving a few comments, people who watch their channel will see my comment called Roger's Bonsai. Think, oh, that's a new one, let's go and have a look at that. So hopefully more people will come across from that little activity. Yes, please. But it does mean doing bonsai videos. They're never going to be as frequent as the orchid videos, because there are times of year when there's just not much going on. You know, so what do you film? Sort of thing. So anyway, thanks to the people that have gone across there. And some people, orchid people, have started to get a little bit of interest in the bonsai world and started to think about possibly getting a couple of trees or something. So, I mean, just on I don't grow those sort of things, but there are a few types of bonsai trees that will happily grow indoors. Not many. If you take most of the trees, well, you take any of the trees that I've got indoors, they will dump their leaves probably. They just don't get the light and the buoyancy of the air and stuff like that. They're not, you know, they're wild trees. They're not designed to grow indoors. Mind you, look around, none of this was designed to grow indoors either. But trees is a bit different. Right, new stuff on the orchid world. I'm not changing anything out here. But there are some things that don't seem to be growing as well this year as perhaps they've done in the past. Now, we've had a major change in environment for a start, yeah? So that's possibly part of the answer. I'm starting to get seriously worried about the level of the sunlight coming in the roof, so I am going to shade net this section of the roof. problem is it's not as straightforward as you think, because first of all I've got to get up there, and it's a very wide roof. You know, I've got to get a piece of shade netting from one side to the other. And like, you know, I can't reach. I can't even reach a third of the way across to sort of... So I think I'm going to have to attach string or something and sort of put it up there, and then throw the bits of string with something dangling on the end that's heavier, that'll take the string across the roof and then go the other side and pull on the string to get it to go across. And the only thing I can fix it to is the guttering. And I'm hoping I can thread some string in behind the guttering and tie the shade netting on at various places. Now, unlike the other place, they haven't got to put up with severe storms, because this is a very sheltered area here with the huge big trees all over there, and that's where the prevailing wind comes from, is where those big trees are and where this big next door's house is. So this back garden remains quite sheltered. Yeah, it might get, if we had a real severe north wind, then it would come over the top of that hedge. It's still sheltered, so I don't think I'm going to have to worry about strapping it down too much. And being netting, it's got holes in, so the wind can, if the wind gets up under it, it'll just come out through the holes. It's not like a tarpaulin that can just get ripped off and go 6 houses down the road before it lands. So it should be okay. But I need to get on and do that. That means getting the steps out, being very careful, and somehow or other threading, you know, threading it across and see how it works. I'm going to have to do it, because it's not so much the temperature. The temperature is staying, the maximum I've seen in here on the one that reads high is 28. Now the one over there said 26, that one said 26. So that's still quite a bit lower than the other one. And it's only on really bright sunny days during that 2-3 hour period when that bit lights up. But it's not so much that heat, it's the light level. It's a half of this grow room is in a light level it's just basically too strong. Now, this could be part and parcel why some things don't seem to be growing as well as they should. I mean, we identified in the last project orchids, we looked at this one. Now, this is a Latoria type, and we looked at this. This is light. It's not light burn, it's light intensity. And this is a reaction by the plant. By getting a purple tinge on the leaves facing that bright light that it's not happy with, there is a reflective element that happens. So it's a form of protection that the plant, you know, does this. And it might save the leaves. See, it doesn't look like it's going to save that one. It's gone through. So that's light doing that. And in addition to that, my Rhinantheras, two out of the 3 of those have got purple leaves on them. So there's things up this end. The Cattleyas seem to be coping okay. They're not going purple. And they are, in the main, coming back into growth a bit as well. But my Miltonias were up on that shelf. I've had to drop them down because they were starting to go very pale in colour, you know. Don't mind a little bit of yellowing on old leaves, but they were getting a bit dramatic. And it's these 2 shelf units here. The top shelf on those 2 shelf units are what's suffering the worst. The shelf unit up there only gets that intense light for about an hour and then it's gone. And they seem to be doing okay. This one gets it for the longest, and that's the Cattleyas, so that's not too bad. Now you could sort of say, well, why don't you just move those plants off that top shelf? Well, then the shelf below will get it, won't it? That top shelf provides shade for the ones below, so I can't do that. So I think we're going to have to put up with some shade netting, and it'll be up there probably for about 2 months. And I'll know next year what is it now? It's the beginning of June. I'll know next year that the shade netting needs to go up near the beginning of May, perhaps the first or second week in May, when it starts to creep back up there as the sun gets higher in the sky, and that shadow moves from there gradually up to halfway. It's not going to come any further than that now. The sun is virtually at its highest. The change now is negligible. So I now know, which I didn't do before. I said it would be an experiment this year. So we'll get that shade netting up, and the longest day is about the 21st of June, something like that. So if we say from the first or second week in May to there, let's say that's 7 weeks. So it's 14 weeks, because it'll be the same the other side, won't it? So it's 14 weeks worth of shade netting. That's all. And I don't think that's bad. We don't need any on the sides. Worst thing that can happen is that late in the evening there might be just a little bit coming between two trees over there that would come in sort of there. But it'll be low angle sun. I don't mind that. That doesn't generate the heat. And it's not as intense. It's not as intense when it's lower in the sky because it has to shine through all the muck that we put up in the air. And obviously the lower the angle, the more muck it's got to get through, which is why it looks bright red when it's setting or rising. Right, orchid stuff to show you. Doing those sums in there, my mind is still whizzing round in here. How can I save money? Well, the first thing that could save money is not heat this as high in the winter time, which means some of my warmer growers are either going to just about put up with it or not make it. But my cooler growers will all be fine, and my intermediates will all be fine. What won't be fine is the ones at the higher end of intermediate. Now that's probably going to be the 2 Vandas, the 3 Renantheras, although 2 of those were chosen specifically because they're more tolerant of lower temperatures. And then I would have to go very, very careful with the Latorias, Phalaenopsis type and black hair type Dendrobiums that would prefer not to get cold. But all I've got to do, hopefully, to keep them alive is keep them dry. And bearing in mind I've got a set of resting Dendrobiums that need that, all I've got to do is include them in it as well, and they might make it through the winter. The Oncidium types will be fine. All the Oncidium types will be fine. I haven't got anything in there that requires heat in the winter. Obviously the cooler shadier, the Mazda Valleys, the Dracula, the Restrepias, the Miltoniopsis, they'll be fine, they'll love it, so they'll be fine. So that's a way of saving some money. And also, the other side of those doors, where I live, we can save some money in there as well, by not having the house quite so warm when I'm up and about, and I certainly don't want the house warm when I'm in bed. Well, that's a matter of adjusting the timings in the winter. And if it's very, very cold, you put an extra woolly on, rather than spend 30 or 40 quid a month putting the heating on. Extra, I mean. So, that's that. The one thing I don't want to cut back on is my internet cost, because I've got a powerful internet and I like it. But I could go down, degrade my internet and get a much, much cheaper version. The consequences would be everything I do on the laptop would take longer. And then we go back to this bit, why do I hurry to sit down and think, what am I going to do now then? But it is most annoying when you're waiting for a video to load, you know, and get on with other stuff, and it's taken an absolute age. And that's the thing that I would notice, the big difference. Processing my videos stays the same. That's the power of the laptop. That's got nothing to do with the internet. The bit that's got to do with the internet is watching videos, watching other people's, and as long as I've got a connection good enough for that, and also loading my videos, and that's where the delay would be, quite bad delay. Most video internets suppliers supply an upload speed of about 8, whereas mine's like 22, 24. That's quite a bit of difference. 3 times as fast, 3 times as quick, you could look at it. I wanted to show you, let's see if I can do this without knocking the camera over. Whoa! And the whole shelf falling over. Somebody asked, is that I Go Petalum that seems to have all the spikes blasted anything, or is it still growing, or is it still doing okay? Well, yes it is. Surprisingly, for such a tatty plant, it is doing okay. And we do have 5 spikes. Because this is unusual, this is strange behaviour. This is the new growth. It's not that unusual for a new growth to push out a spike either side, but it's very rare for the new growth to turn into a spike as well. So that's 3 spikes on that growth. And then we've got another little spike here, and another, this is the strong spike over here. And that's off of this central new growth. So yeah, it's doing okay. And quite honestly, this was a bad plant. It was deliberately bought as a bad plant. What do you mean, daft? The idea was I'd done reasonably well with some other zygos after killing many. 4 I think I got up to, and then I thought, nope, I'm not going to be beaten, and I had some help. And I thought, well, as I seem to be doing okay now, let's see if I can recover one. So when I was at Burnham's, under the obligation of you don't go to an orchid nursery run by friends and walk out without anything in your hands. You buy something, it's a polite thing to do. And I decided to come out with this, and I looked at it and I thought, that's not a very good plant. It was in bloom at the time, and I wasn't even that fussed on the blooms. They were a bit wishy-washy. But I thought, well, if I can get that to grow and bloom again, then that's pretty good stuff. But I mean, if you look at the quality here, this little new growth with this tiny little spike here is incredibly weak. The one in the middle of the plant with that nice strong spike, that will grow on. Those leaves will get up to full size. And then over here, this new growth here was blind. That one didn't bloom. Oh, no, oh yes it did. It did bloom. And it's pushed out another new growth which has turned into a spike. So I wouldn't say it was growing well, but it ain't dead yet. And it's pushing out new roots in various places. And 5 spikes. Can't really complain at that. And certainly this spike over here, it looks like it's going to have 5 blooms on as well. So that's pretty good going. Anyway, it's okay. It's still with us. It's still pushing the spikes on. It's doing okay. Oof. Right, that was that. The other thing I wanted to show you is this Miltoniopsis, because it's still not fully open to bloom. It's getting there, so you get the general idea of what we're going to get, yeah, the pattern inside. But these are going to be big blooms. I don't remember them being that big. But hopefully this will be fully open by everything in bloom on the 8th, and this will be the main new bloom. I mean, this plant's got quite a few spikes on it as well, although some of them are weak. There's one over here with 2 buds. This one's got 2 buds. This one's only got 1, but it's a whopper. And then there's another little spike coming over here. So it's, you know, it's at, oh, and there's another one there, and there's another one there. So hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. 6. They just keep sneaking up. You know, every time I look, I think there's an extra one. Anyway, that's going to look pretty good when that's fully open. And I'm well pleased with being able to get a Miltoniopsis to produce a root system like that as well. Now that's going to be as a result of the cocoa husk and the extra moist conditions still with air that this has now got that it didn't necessarily have before. So that's now a good root system. There's active roots in there as well, which is always good. And it's doing okay. And the crinkled leaves here are from a previous life, I'll call it. That's from when it wasn't in this media. And you get these crinkled leaves. That's where it's produced by stop-start with hydration. That's not always your watering. Sometimes a plant can stop hydrating properly because the media's going off. Yeah. So, but it's stop-start growth basically that produces those concertina leaves. I haven't got many. There's only a few, and they're on older growth, so we'll live with those. But yeah, I think that's going to be pretty good. So that was that. Not much else over here. This little Miltoniopsis, this is a primary cross, so this is much closer to us. That thing, that monster I've just shown you, is just a long chain of hybrids down the road, you know, that's got it to that state. Whereas this is a primary cross, so this is very close to two species, obviously, and therefore close to looking like what a species Miltoniopsis looks like. And out of the species Miltoniopsis, most of them are quite small like this. There is one big one that I've also got, which is Vexillaria. Now that grows quite large and has quite large blooms, and obviously with Miltoniopsis hybrids, if it's still called a Miltoniopsis, then there's only 5 that can have contributed, and obviously they get crossed back, you know, and then out of some seedlings you'll get an odd colour that can get used to be crossed back in again. It's donkey's years worth of work to do this, but this cross could be reproduced any time because it's a primary cross. So if you've got the two species and they're in bloom at the same time and you can get a seed pod, then you can recreate this cross. But to recreate it, it has to be the right way round. You've got a seed parent and a pollen parent, and if you reverse them you get a different, well, in the main you will get a different bloom by turning those parents round the other way. So obviously the parents are one way round to create this one, which is named, which is Miltoniopsis venus. And my other species seem to be doing okay. You would want to come in now, wouldn't you? Come on then. Come on then, in you go. Yeah, nailing my coffin doing these. I like the cats coming in and out, I like it a lot, and they like it a lot as well. But I'm up and down all the time, especially with that one, with Elvis, because he walks up to the door and like looks at me and looks out and looks at the door, and you go to open the door and he walks away from it. He likes looking out. Doesn't necessarily want to go out. Whereas the other one, Mojo, if he walks up to the door, he wants to go out. He's far more sensible. And he gets quite talkative if I don't take any notice of him. So that's good. At least he lets me know he wants to go out, because sometimes I don't see him there. Right, and what I'm going to end on is something you probably can't see anywhere else, which is somebody holding up Dendrobium herco that looks like this, because you won't see one like this probably anywhere else. I can't even get it all in the camera, but it's also an exceptional blooming this year because nearly all the buds have come out together, and at the moment I don't see any starting to go over. There's still buds to come, there's still a few, you know, in their infancy, like this, you know, that's not going to be open for some time. But the main blooming this year is a good one, right up to the top of the plant, right up to the tip of the plant. So as I said, you probably won't see anybody else hold up a herco like that. Quite stunning. I've had this a long time. I think this goes back to about 2014, something like that. So I've had it a while. Obviously it would have been a young plant, probably not even blooming size when I got it. But what I've got now that it's done this is the perfect opportunity to get rid of the redundant canes. Because all I've got to do is look for the leafless canes and see if they've got any buds on. And if they haven't, they can come off because they've finished. Otherwise they'd have buds on. Now there are leafless canes with buds on. They can stay. They'll come off next year. So this will be their last set of blooms. But there are half a dozen or more canes on there with no leaves and no buds. And they can come off. And that'll tidy it up a little bit. And we still have no new growth starting. Again, you know, we've got different growing conditions here. We didn't get those daytime, we didn't get the warmth in the daytime in early spring that I would have got from the sun coming through the glass at the other place. We don't get that here. So our daytimes are cooler in the spring. And obviously the increase in the day temperatures is the trigger for an awful lot of orchids to come back into growth. So I've got a lot of orchids that are late starting. I just hope they grow on as far as possible into the shorter days, otherwise we're going to end up with shorter canes, smaller bulbs and things like that. And that might just have to be something I live with. Because with the cost of energy, I'm not getting the grow lights out. That's not happening. Although, if you think about it, grow lights, in a place like this with this level of light, all they would be used for is to extend the day length, not to replace the daylight, if you see what I mean. So when the day lengths come down to like sort of 8 hours, they'd need to be on for 4. Day length comes down to 10, they'd need to be on for 2. Yeah? But then I'd be trying to keep things growing in the winter that in a lot of cases shouldn't be growing in the winter. So I'd have to start separating plants out. Yeah, so he's been out there some time, he's just come in, now he's stood at the door again. And he doesn't want to go out, he's just looking out the window. It's just a strange cat. Well, certainly not coming out again now, you have to just come in. Yeah, so yeah, that'll do for today, and I'll do a report on the Orchid Society, on the Bonsai Society here on the Orchid channel, because it will take some of my time away, but not anything that's going to affect the videos on the Orchid channel. It just might be nice to report back that I found something else to replace the Orchid Society that I left. Because I was a member of 2, now I'm only a member of 1. And the one that I left was quite high commitment. Some of the jobs I'd taken on took up an awful lot of my time. Well, that time now is nothing time, I've got nothing to do with it. So joining a Bonsai Society, I'm not going to fight to get straight on the committee or anything, it's just a meeting once a month, but they also hold a show. I might even put some of my trees in a show. But it gives me an activity linked to the bonsai trees, which in my mind are coming back into a proper hobby again, which they haven't been for quite a few years, quite honestly. They've just been neglected. Surprised they're all still alive, really. But from this year, I'm quite getting back into them, if you see what I mean. I've managed to do some repotting, I've done some good pruning. We've got a few new trees, some starters to get going again, so the hobby interest has come back. And to go with that, it would be nice to be a member of the society, as they're not too far away. And if I don't particularly like the Salisbury one for any reason, there's one in Eastleigh, which is about the same distance, but will be a hell of a lot quicker to get to, because it's dual carriageway and motorway almost to the door. So, whereas Salisbury's a little A road sort of thing. So we'll see how they go. We'll see how they go. And the last thing I'll show you, because I want to get this posted, is now we don't often get to see things like Mazda Valleys on my channel, because they in the past haven't grown necessarily very well. But this one is. Now this one came from mixed Mazda Valleys. It was a present basically, even though I did offer to pay for it. Well, let's say I wanted to buy one and I got given it instead. That's how it went, that way round. I did ask for one, I did want to buy one. So a nice gift basically, and I'm just looking to see, it's got scale on a couple of leaves and they are just peeling off, so they are dead. Good. We don't want scale on Mazda Valley, as they can do quite a lot of damage. These are adults and they're just falling off. So perhaps I sprayed it, I don't remember doing it, I must admit, but I'll keep my eye on it. We don't want anything getting out of hand. And there's a big one. Oh, actually that's a little spider. You can stay. You hear him, he's clawing at the door now to come out. Come on then. Nuisance. What are you? Meow. Nuisance. Go on then. Perhaps he came in and then decided he needed the loo. Right, so we've got one lovely bloom on here and two more to come. This bud's swelling nicely, and we've got another one coming up here. I think that could do with a clip on it, couldn't it? Yeah, a lot of these little dots on this plant are little spiders. Not spider mites, they're actual spiders, so they can stay. But this one's, because I've picked it up, it's flopped, so I think we'll put a clip on that. Because these blooms are very heavy. Now by rights they should be self-supporting, but sometimes things just need a bit of help. So we've already got a stick there. Whoops. So I'm trying to do this with one hand. What I'm trying to do is grab the bloom and then I can put it over the top of the stick, can't I? Duh. There we go. Just to stop it flopping basically. And then we've got another two to come. So that's and looking from the top of the plant, there's a mass of roots going down into the pot now. Absolute mass of roots. Yeah, stacks. So this plant's doing well. It won't need repotting for a while because it wasn't long done by Mick himself. So obviously, you know, in a mix that's worked well for him, he grows these. So, you know, a mix chosen like that. So, yeah, it's doing okay. Doing okay. Not bad at all. Right, so end on a nice Mazda Valley of bloom. Quite a good one, that. Actually, we'll end on a Dendrobium bloom, actually, because this has changed colour. Now it's got two lots of blooms. It's got these down here that are on a pendulous cane, so we can't see them. And then we've got one cane gone down and one cane gone up. And the one that's gone up, obviously we can see the blooms. But these have changed colour since they opened. They've deepened. So they're a much deeper colour now. That's Dendrobium cariniferum and black hair type. And again, we have no signs of new growths yet. But a lot of Dendrobiums, when they're in bloom, it's as though there's a trigger that tells the plant not to push any new growths up at the moment. I'm doing blooming. And then when the blooms age and start to fade, they'll often trigger new growths then. You know, I've done blooming, now we can get on with some new growths for next time round, sort of thing. So, but yeah, lovely attractive blooms. And possibly if I can get an angle on, you might be able to see the frilliness inside of the lip on the top bloom. That's if it's in focus, of course. The trouble is when I'm filming like that, I can't, the screen is too small for me to see the fine detail. I need to get it on the big screen first, and that obviously means I've stopped filming at that point, which is what I'm going to do now because that battery's about to go. Yeah, so Sunday Orchid Chat, some news about bonsai stuff. And again, I'll ask again, if you haven't gone across and subscribed, even if you're not interested in bonsai, it would be nice if you did to just get that channel up and running. This channel, however, is doing okay. We get new people joining every now and again, and we get some people leave now and again. So it's there is a turnover on the channel, which I think happens on all channels anyway. Although a lot of people aren't that thorough with YouTube. they spend some time on YouTube, and you're watching this one, and you've got this list of stuff down the side. Well, on a laptop you have, I don't know what happens on other devices. And you think, oh, that looks interesting, I'll have a look at that. And that's your next one. Yeah, and you get that up and you think, God, that's really interesting, I wonder if this guy posts. And then you get to the channel and you think, oh, I think I'll subscribe. And then you watch the next one, you know, in 2 or 3 days' time, you think, perhaps not. So you don't watch any more, but you don't necessarily go back to the channel and unsubscribe. So there's a lot of people subscribe to channels that never watch them, which is what, and YouTube know this, that's why they've stopped taking much notice of subscribers, but they still make a big deal out of the number of subscribers to allow you to monetize. And this is the annoying thing with YouTube now. On an unmonetized channel, so a channel that's growing or has chosen not to, YouTube put adverts on there anyway. So they're overriding the creator's choice. Because, I mean, for quite a while I physically chose not to monetize. So I didn't, even though I qualified for it. Well, YouTube changed the rules now. If they want, they'll put adverts on those channels anyway. So my bonsai channel has got adverts on the videos. And guess how much money I'm getting? None. YouTube are keeping the lot. Greedy or what? So they've changed the rules so that they can make money out of non-monetized channels. And eventually the channels may become monetized, and then I expect they're going, I'm going to have to give them some now. You know, the people who make the videos, who do the work, the creators, we'll have to give them some now, I suppose. But then we do get access to a free platform. I don't pay them anything. Mind you, they take some away before I get it. I suppose that's a payment in kind. But I don't pay to use it, and it's the biggest platform of its type in the world, and you get access to all those people around the world for free. So should we moan about the way they run their channel? Perhaps not. Sorry, their platform? Perhaps not. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time. I've got more orchid work to do this week. We've done some mounting, fiddling around. I've got some repotting to do. I've still got some more moss changes to do on some of the mounts, although we've done some of those already. But I haven't got stacks, so I'll be plodding away at it as the time goes on. And most things will get videoed, obviously, so we'll have some working ones. And then we've got everything in bloom on the 8th, that's, what's it now, the 5th, so 3 days time, that will be the video for that day. There's some things that are going to fall on the floor before then, which is annoying. That's how it goes. We'll see how we go from there. I might do another one of these let's have a look at. You know, whereas, I mean, the last one I did like that, let's have a look at the potted cattleyas, for instance. You know, I can't do let's have a look at the Oncidium types because there's too many. Same with the Dendrobiums, there's too many to do in a single video. But you know, perhaps I'll do something anyway along those lines, and we'll see how we go. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. It really is appreciated that you bother watching the channel and leaving comments and ticking the like button and all that sort of stuff. It really is appreciated. So thanks a bunch. See you next time.